Hello English learners, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Michael, and as you might know, sometimes I like to give you English lessons and kind of on the road language learning tips. So today I thought I'd bring you to Cornwall, which is my home county in the southwest of England. And I'm going to show you some of the scenery, but the main topic of today is to talk about 6 language learning rules. There aren't many rules with language learning, but I believe these 6 rules are kind of really important. If you want to learn a language such as English, these are really important to know. So I'm going to go over these today while also showing you some of the sights of the Cornish countryside. Yeah, hope you enjoy it. Now, Cornwall is well known historically for its mining industry. So it's quite famous still today for the kind of old mining ruins that you will see. So a lot of the kind of tall buildings, or some of the tall buildings that you see in the background of this video, are remnants of the mining industry that happened in the past here. There's a lot of history to discover as well. But as I said, it's not the main part of this video. And if you're wondering why I'm sitting in a ditch, it's because I'm trying to get out of the wind. So it's a very windy, blustery day, and hopefully the audio quality is not too bad because I'm kind of sheltered down here. So my first rule for language learning is to learn every day. And that's not to batch things. So if you batch something, that's like when you do lots of things in one go, usually to save time or to do something more efficiently. With language learning, it doesn't really work like that. I think a little bit every day is going to be much better than 1 hour a week, right? So there's a really good idiom or proverb that we can use here, and this is, it is a marathon, not a sprint. So don't try to do as much as you can in one go. Try to pace yourself over the time which you decide you want to learn a language, in this case English. So to give a practical example of this, it would be much better to do 10 minutes of study every day for a month rather than doing 1 hour a week, right? Well, some people might decide they want to do 1 hour a week, but because it's such a large amount of time, they can only do it successfully 2 or 3 days in the week. And in that case, it might be better to have the small amount of time every day. So don't set your sights too high, don't set your goal too high, make it achievable and do a little bit every day. That's rule number 1 of language learning. Rule number 2 for language learning is not to neglect any skill, especially speaking. So this is something that I have made many times in the past. I did it when I learned Japanese. The first time I learned Japanese, I neglected to practice any speaking for the first 3 years. And I know it seems obvious in hindsight that I should have done that, but because I didn't do that, I didn't really improve much over those first 3 years. The other time I forgot to study a skill was when I practiced a little bit of the Thai language and I neglected to study any reading. Because of that mistake, I accidentally used bleach on my clothes instead of fabric conditioner or detergent. So that was a big mistake. I ruined all my clothes because I neglected to study reading. So if you want to learn a language and you want to progress a lot and you want to learn seriously, be sure not to neglect any of the important skills, such as reading, writing, listening, and speaking. They're all very important and they're going to go a long way in helping you progress in that language. The third rule is, I think, one of the most important ones because it's so obvious to many people, but yet it's very much neglected. So many people don't really consider this, and yet I think it's so important, and that is make it fun. So a lot of us from school, we kind of assume that it shouldn't be fun, but it really should be fun. And if it is fun, it's really the best way to learn because your mind picks things up much more easily when learning is fun. So one really good technique that you can use is whatever you would do in your native language, do that in the language you're learning as well. So make learning as fun as possible, and if it is boring, try to find a way to make it fun. Rule number 4 is habit is everything. Don't rely on motivation alone to help you progress in your studies. Motivation is really important, but it's not enough to help you progress, because you will not be motivated every day. Motivation goes up, it goes down. Motivation is not consistent. It's really good if you have that, but what you need is to put a really good habit into place. Just like brushing your teeth, right? You don't need to be motivated to brush your teeth. It's all about habit. So if you have that habit, the routine to study day after day in the way that you've decided to do, that's going to be the best path to success. And relating back to the first point, don't do too much. So create a habit where you can do a little bit every day, and that really is the best way to language learning success. Now, as I'm getting increasingly hotter and increasingly more sweaty on my walk, we're coming to the end now. Rule number 5 is a good one, and that is don't compare yourself to others. Comparison is never good, especially in language learning. It will only lead to disappointment. The only comparison that I believe you should be making is comparing yourself to the past version of yourself. So compare yourself to who you were yesterday and before, and your skill level. So think about how far you've come. Think about how much you have improved since last year, perhaps, or even 10 years ago. You will never be the best at anything, but you can always be better than who you were before. So don't compare yourself to others, just compare yourself to the past version of yourself. And that has really helped me as well. It's helped me overcome my confidence issues and my self kind of deprecating beliefs and self-limiting beliefs. So that's a really good rule to go by, I would say. Rule number 6, I don't have enough fingers for this one, but 6 is about immersion. Immersion is when you are completely surrounded by something. And if you're immersed in a language, that means everything in your life is related to that language. And number 6 is immersion doesn't have to be in another country. You can get perfectly good language immersion in your own country. You don't have to come to England to be immersed in English. You can do this at home by changing everything you're doing in your day-to-day life in English. Think in English, consume media in English. There's a lot you can do. And I've had students who have reached really high levels of English and they have never even left their own countries. So it really is possible. Just set your mind to it, and I think you can find a way to do that. Now I'm going to give you one bonus rule that I did write down, but I forgot to give a number. Tried to cover my microphone to stop the wind. And that is, anything is better than nothing. It kind of relates back to our first rule, doesn't it? That you don't have to try to do so much. Even a little bit of study is better than none. So don't feel bad that you can't study for so many hours a day. The important thing is you're doing something. You know, try to do as much as you can, but don't feel guilty if you can't do that in your life, because of course we all have busy lives. So do what you can, and that's going to be better than nothing. So there we have it. There are my 6 or 7 rules of language learning. And as with most things I do, it's all from my own experience. You know, I'm not perfect yet anyway, but I've made a lot of mistakes with language learning, and I'm still making them every day. And I try my best to consolidate and gather all of the mistakes I make to share with you guys on this channel. So all of these lessons are kind of the things I've summarized from all my notes and years of language learning. I hope it's been useful. I hope you found it valuable, and if you want any more similar tips like this, let me know. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the countryside with me as well, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.